There is a moment quiet, still, almost invisible, where a soul stops drifting and begins to burn. It's not loud, it's not grand, it doesn't come with fireworks or a chorus from the heavens. Number. It begins like a whisper that says, there must be more than this, more than waking up to dread, more than trading time for money, more than scrolling through someone else's life, wishing you had their courage, more than surviving Monday just to collapse on Friday. In that whisper, a seed is planted, not in the mind, but in something deeper. The mind thinks, but the soul knows. And when that knowing begins to stir, when it starts to ache, you've touched the edge of your purpose. Because here's the truth. Until you find your why, the world will hand you distractions disguised as destinations. Until you know why you were put here, you will chase goals that aren't yours, live lives that don't fit, wear smiles that crack under silence. But the moment you glimpse your purpose, even through fog and fear, everything changes. Purpose does not ask for permission. It demands. It burns. It summons. Look through history, and you'll see it. Purpose took a poor boy named Abraham Lincoln, born in a log cabin, and carved into him the resolve to hold a broken country together with nothing but words and war. Purpose drove a young orphan named Andrew Carnegie to cross the Atlantic with nothing in his pocket but a dream and leave behind a steel empire. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times. 10,000. Imagine failing every day for years. Would you keep going? He did. Because he wasn't chasing applause, he was chasing light. His purpose was not a job, it was a calling. That is the difference. That is the fire. And that is what the world cannot take from you. When you know your why, truly know it, deep in your marrow, you don't need motivation. You become the source of it. And yet, most people don't find their why. Not because it isn't there, but because they never look for it. They accept a version of life written by fear, passed down by generations of quiet desperation. They confuse safety with happiness, comfort with joy. But comfort kills dreams, and fear is the greatest salesman of regret. So let me ask you, do you remember the moment you stopped dreaming? Was it the first rejection? The first time someone told you that's unrealistic? Or maybe it was the 10th time you tried and nothing changed. Slowly, piece by piece, your fire dimmed, until you called it growing up. But you weren't growing up. You were giving up. And it's time to take it back. Because your purpose is not a luxury. It is not a side quest. It is the reason you breathe. And without it, you are a ship without a compass, adrift in success or failure, equally lost. But with it, you become undeniable. Purpose rewires your brain. It recalibrates your energy. It filters what matters and discards what doesn't. You no longer ask, can I do this? You ask, does this move me closer to what I was born for? And every choice becomes sacred. Every action, infused with clarity. Every setback, just another lesson, not a sentence. Because purpose doesn't protect you from pain. It gives your pain meaning. It gives your struggle a spine. It's what kept Nelson Mandela strong through 27 years in a prison cell, because he knew his suffering had a name. It was freedom. Not for himself, but for millions. That was his why. And it was stronger than the walls that held him. So I ask you again, not casually, but as a demand to your soul, what is your purpose? Why are you here? And if the answer doesn't come immediately, don't panic. Dig. Remember. Search the wounds you try to hide. Trace the stories that lit your fire as a child. Go back to the first time you felt alive. Because your purpose isn't out there somewhere. It's been inside you the whole time, buried beneath doubt, routine, and noise. Silence the world, and you will hear it. Know once you touch it, even for a second, the real work begins. Because purpose is not a noun, it's a verb. It demands action. Not someday, not when it's convenient, not when the stars align. Now, you want a life that means something? You must mean what you do. You must wake up with intent, speak with conviction, move with urgency. You must walk through the world like you are sent, not just surviving. The world does not reward the lukewarm. It opens for the obsessed, the relentless, the ones who have decided that this life, this one life, will not be wasted on fear. And when you walk with purpose, something miraculous happens. The obstacles don't vanish, but they part. The right people show up. The right doors creak open. The chaos begins to make sense. Because when your why is clear, your how reveals itself. Purpose is not about never falling. It is about refusing to stay down. It is the whisper that becomes a roar, the question that becomes a war cry. And once you know it, once you own it, you will never again settle for a life that was never meant for you. Purpose is not found in comfort. It is revealed in confrontation. Confrontation with your fears, with your laziness, with the lies you've told yourself to stay small. You want to find your purpose? Then stop asking for the path to be easy. Start asking for the strength to be ready. Because life will test your resolve the second you declare it. Say, I want to change the world. And the world will throw storms your way to see if you meant it. Say, I want to build something that lasts, and time will make you wait long enough to break a lesser soul. Say, I want to lead, and watch how many people walk away before they follow. But the test is the point. The resistance is the refinement. The fire doesn't burn you, it builds you. Look at every great figure who ever walked this earth. They were forged, not born. Oprah Winfrey abused, rejected, told she didn't belong in broadcasting. She didn't walk away. She leaned in. Because she wasn't chasing fame. She was chasing truth. Her why was bigger than their no. Steve Jobs fired from his own company, humiliated, cast out. But that exile gave him clarity. The comeback gave him vision. Because his why wasn't about ego. It was about impact. Even Martin Luther King Jr., a man with a dream so radical it put a target on his back. He marched anyway, spoke anyway, because he wasn't moved by applause. He was moved by mission. And you, yes, you have that same fire waiting to be awakened. But make no mistake, you don't stumble into purpose. You build it, brick by brick, with discipline as your hammer and action as your cement. Because purpose without discipline is just potential. And potential unfulfilled is the loudest regret of all. So stop waiting for clarity to strike like lightning. Create it. Act, and the vision sharpens. Move, and the fog lifts. Clarity is not a prerequisite for action. It is the result of consistent courage. You will not feel ready. That's the trap. Purpose asks for faith, not certainty. It asks you to move even when your knees shake. Discipline is what makes the invisible become real. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. Not talent, not motivation, discipline. Get up when you don't want to. Show up when you're tired. Speak when you're scared. Work when no one claps. Because purpose is not about being seen. It's about seeing clearly. And when you can see the mountain, you stop fearing the climb. Because now, every step has context. Every sacrifice has weight. Every tear becomes sacred. You're not just pushing weights in the gym. You're pushing against everything that said you couldn't. You're not just writing a book. You're writing a future that no one believed was possible. You're not just building a business. You're building a legacy, a statement that says, I was here and I mattered. That is what purpose gives you. Conviction. And conviction is louder than doubt. But here's what they won't tell you. Even with purpose, the road is not straight. You will be tested. You will fail. And you will be tempted to walk away. Not because you're weak, but because growth feels like death when you're in it. You will outgrow people. You will break old identities. You will bury versions of yourself that were once familiar. That's the price of evolution. But what's the cost of staying the same? What's the cost of dying with your purpose still locked inside you? Because regret doesn't show up in loud moments. It creeps in quietly. It visits you at night when no one is watching. It whispers, "You had more in you. Why didn't you try? You want to sleep in peace? Live on purpose." That doesn't mean chasing constant hustle. It means alignment. Doing things that align with your calling. Making choices that honor your future. Saying no to what drains you and yes to what grows you. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. You don't need more resources. You need more resourcefulness. You don't need to wait for perfect. You need to begin. And yes, there will be fear. But fear is not your enemy. Fear is proof that you're standing at the edge of something powerful. It's a compass. It tells you this matters. And when your purpose is real enough, when it breathes inside you like a second heart, you will learn to walk with fear in your shadow, not as your master. You'll stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I never try? What if this is the very thing I was born to do? What if my pain has been preparation all along?" Because purpose is not just about changing your life. It's about changing the lives you touch. And maybe, just maybe, there is someone waiting on the other side of your courage. Someone who will only rise because you did. Someone who will only believe because you spoke. Someone who will only fight because you didn't quit. You think your life is just about you? Think again. Your purpose is a ripple. What you do echoes into people you may never meet. And that is sacred. So I ask you once more, not gently, but with fire. Will you walk in your purpose, or will you waste your breath chasing comfort? Will you dare to become the person only you can be? The world doesn't need more noise. It needs you fully awakened, fully committed, fully alive. Purpose is not a straight line. It bends, breaks, rebuilds, and rises again. It tests you, it humbles you, it reshapes you into someone unrecognizable from who you once were. And that's the point. You are not here to remain unchanged. You are here to become. To become the version of yourself that only purpose can unlock. Not the version molded by fear, comparison, or societal expectations. But the version that answers only to the fire within. Because when you walk in purpose, you stop imitating. You stop performing. You stop shrinking to fit into rooms that were never built for your light. Instead, you build your own room. You become the architect of your destiny. You become the storm they never saw coming. But make no mistake, this awakening comes with isolation. Not everyone will understand your shift. Some will call you selfish. Some will say you've changed. And they'll be right. Because you have changed. Purpose will cost you the approval of the crowd, but it will reward you with the respect of your own soul. So, walk alone if you must. Build alone if you must. Grow alone if you must. Because alone with purpose is still more powerful than a crowd without it. And eventually, inevitably, those who resonate with your fire will find you. They always do. Because energy doesn't lie. And purpose is magnetic. But first, you must stop waiting for the world to crown you. Crown yourself. Give yourself the permission to begin. To be bad at first. To stumble. To fall. And to rise with blood in your mouth and resolve in your chest. This is not about perfection. This is about persistence. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Elon Musk was laughed out of rooms. J.K. Rowling was rejected by a dozen publishers. And yet, they kept going. Why? Because their why was louder than the rejection. They had a vision so vivid they could taste it. They were haunted by it, driven by it, obsessed with it. And that is what separates the remembered from the forgotten. Relentless alignment with purpose. Not just in the grand moments, but in the smallest ones. In the daily habits. In the quiet disciplines. In the choices you make when no one is watching. Purpose is not found on stages. It's forged in silence. It's found in the 5 a.m. wake-ups. In the extra rep when your muscles scream. In the honest conversations you'd rather avoid. in the work you do when no one's clapping. That is the battlefield of purpose. Not glamorous, but sacred. And if you stay in that fight, if you keep showing up with integrity, vision, and grit, you will wake up one day in a life that makes sense. Not perfect, but meaningful, because you'll realize you no longer need to chase happiness. You've built fulfillment. You no longer crave applause. You crave alignment. You don't need everything to go your way. You just need one reason to keep going. And that reason, that why, will carry you through hell if it has to. Because when your why is deep enough, you'll find the how in places no one else dares to look. You'll turn pain into power. You'll turn fear into fuel. You'll turn doubt into data. Purpose is not a guarantee of ease. It is a guarantee of depth. And in depth, there is peace. Peace in knowing you are living your truth. Peace in knowing your time has weight. Peace in knowing you are not here by accident. And once that realization roots itself inside you, once it becomes you, you stop asking for signs. You become the sign. You become the voice in someone else's silence, the light in someone else's darkness, the proof that it can be done. But only if you keep going. When the money is low, keep going. When your heart is broken, keep going. When the critics laugh, keep going. When you're tired, empty, and doubting every step, keep going. Because the mountain always looks tallest right before the summit. And many turn back too soon. Not because they couldn't do it, but because they forgot why they started. Don't forget. Tattoo your why on your mind. Write it in fire across your days. And when the world shakes, hold it like armor. Because purpose is the only compass that doesn't break in the storm. It points true, even in darkness, even in chaos, even in you. And the more you trust it, the more life begins to respond. Doors you never saw begin to open. Opportunities begin to align. People begin to appear not because you begged, but because you became. The universe does not give to the hesitant. It gives to the decided. The man or woman who says, I don't know how, but I must. I will. And I am. That person, unstoppable, unshakable, unforgettable, because they're no longer chasing life. They're creating it, one choice at a time, one day at a time, one breath-own purpose at a time. You see, purpose is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of becoming. Once you've found it once, you've felt it, there is no going back. The ordinary becomes unbearable. The shallow feels suffocating. And the small talk of comfort zones begins to sound like chains. Because now, you know what it feels like to live with fire in your bones. You know what it feels like to wake up and feel alive before the sun even rises. You know what it means to stand for something, even when the world begs you to sit down. This is the moment when purpose becomes power. Not because life gets easier, but because you get bolder. The obstacles don't shrink. Your will expands. And that shift, that quiet revolution within's what builds greatness. You no longer live life hoping to avoid suffering. You live to transcend it. You no longer fear failure. You invite it because you know failure is not your enemy, but your instructor. Each stumble sharpens you. Each scar teaches you. Each loss prepares you for the deeper level you must step into. Because purpose is not about comfort. It's about contribution. What you give to the world. What you leave behind when your name is nothing more than an echo in time. Will your story be one of fear? Or one of fire? Will your name vanish with the dust? Or will it remain etched into lives you changed, futures you touched, ripples you never even saw? Legacy is not built on noise. It is built on intention. On every moment you chose meaning over mediocrity. On every hour you gave when no one asked. On every time you stood for truth, even when your voice shook. Purpose will demand more from you than anything else in life. And in return, it will give you more than anything else ever could. It will give you peace when the world is chaos. It will give you direction when your path seems lost. It will give you power that no title, status, or bank account could ever offer. And if you dare to pursue it with your whole heart, if you dare to wake up each day and say, I am not done yet, then life, yes, life will rise to meet you. It will stretch you, break you, rebuild you, and ultimately bless you. Not with ease, but with impact. Not with perfection, but with depth. Not with applause, but with a life that matters. But don't wait. Don't wait until your hair is gray and your hands shake. Don't wait until your dreams are dusty relics buried beneath responsibilities. Don't wait for the perfect time, because there is no perfect time. There is only now. Now when your heart is still daring. Now when the voice inside still whispers, you were made for more. Now when you still have the power to choose. Because one day, you won't. One day, your time will run out. And on that day, you will look back not at your money, not at your followers, not at your trophies, but at your choices. And you will ask, did I do what I came here to do? Did I become who I was meant to be? Did I live by default or by design? You get to answer that now in the actions you take today, this very moment. So rise. Rise from the sleepwalking. Rise from the excuses. Rise from the chains of conformity. The world has enough echoes. Be a voice, a flame, a force. Because you weren't born to blend in. You were born to blaze through the darkness. And you weren't given that dream by accident. It is your responsibility. It is your assignment. Don't let it rot in your mind, unfulfilled. Don't let fear babysit your potential. Don't let comfort rob you of your calling. This life, this gift is not something you endure. It's something you ignite. And if you dare to step into that fire, if you dare to let your why be louder than your weakness, if you dare to become the weapon your purpose needs, then nothing can stop you. You will rise again and again. Not because you don't get tired, but because quitting is no longer an option. This is what it means to live with purpose, to breathe with meaning, to suffer with direction, to die with nothing left inside you but peace. So go and become. Become the version of you that honors the gift of life. Become the soul that leaves footprints on hearts. Become the storm that whispers, I didn't come to survive. I came to serve, to shine, to build, to become everything I was born to be. You have one life. Don't just live it. Own it. And when the world asks how, tell them, I didn't always know the how, but I never let go of the why. Because when you know why, you will always find the how.